Good morning, everybody. It is Friday. And, wow, I got weird shadows going on here. Just a sec. Let's see what I can do about that. I don't know if that made that worse or better. Anyway, I am live today, and I checked, and I'm actually on the right channel and everything. And I'm messing with my camera because trying to get some better light on the subject. Anyway, I am at leisure. Steve's out of town this weekend, and so today I'm just gonna do a little project that takes a little while, and I'm not gonna rush through it. So you can come back and fast forward through me coloring if you want, or you can just sit and chat with me. I love that, you know. Today I'm making a couple of birthday cards. I've got birthdays coming up. The next 2 weeks are all the this is the start of all the birthdays in our family. We just had my sister's birthday, next it's my husband's, then it's my dad's, and then it's mine, and we just have one boom 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 just like that. So I'm going to make a couple of cards, and I thought this Trusty Tools is a good set to use for that. This set has been around for a little while. It came out in, I think, the mini catalog last year. A lot of you have it and have seen tons of artwork with it. People are super creative with it. It comes with the die cuts for all the different tools, and it also comes with die cuts for the tool parts and pieces. So you don't just get the hammer, you get the hammer and the handle to the hammer, you know, that kind of thing. All the parts to the drill so that you can do those in different colors. This tape measure has like the little tape measure that you can do in a different color than that. It's just really kind of a cool set. It also has this pegboard, which I've been using a lot, and this one that makes really neat drawers, like if you wanted to make a toolbox or something, and a pencil, paintbrush. There's some very fun things to play with in this set if you have a reason to use a tool set. I'm mostly going to use the stamps today. So these are the stamps. There are some shadow stamps. So like if you wanted to just stamp this in black, you can stamp this part in a different color. And so I'll probably be doing some of that. Anyway, I'm going to set that aside. I need all my desk surface today. I'm going to put these aside. Okay, and the other thing that I needed was a happy birthday, because I'm making a birthday. I think I'll only make my dad's today, but I needed a font, a happy birthday font that goes with this dad, and I thought this happy birthday font from the tune-in set worked great. It looks really nice with it, so I'm going to use that. And then today I want to do random stamping, and it's been a while since I've done that, and so I just wanted to have some different smaller things to fill in, because I can use all the different tools, but I needed, besides the nuts and bolts, I wanted something else that was kind of smallish. And I started looking through my stamps, and I thought it would be fun to do a sploosh of paint. So I grabbed the dots off of this set. This is that background element set that so many of us have. So I thought, okay, that one's safe to pull. A lot of you have it. The little dots are kind of nice as a filler. And I also thought a star would be neat. And so I pulled this one out. This is an oldie, All-Star Birthdays from 2020. But this is the one that they used with the, they had the star shapes of foam where you could make, the shakers and stuff. And so, but it has lots of different stars. So it has a regular star, this little 6, 7, 8-pointed star, the outline of the 8-pointed star, the little asterisk sort of star. I mean, there's a lot. Look at that star. It's so small. I need to do my nails. Sorry. This is what happens with the holidays. I'm like busy. This past week has been crazy. And today I got a lot going on. Anyway, I thought I'd use a couple of these stars. Okay. So there you go. And then I was thinking, it seems like after my videos lately, I've been getting messages like, where did you find that? I can't find anything. So I'm going to show you where in the book these things are. This is page 80. It's under the bundles. And this is the Trusty Tools set. And yeah, the stamps are great, but I don't think that's the star. I think the star is the dies. And honestly, if I only had to buy one or the other of these, I would buy the dies. They're amazing. They're amazing. Although I'm going to use the stamps today. I've only used the dies like crazy. I haven't used the stamps as much. This set would be really nice for random stamping too, because it has solid images, no coloring at all, and a lot of different images and a lot of different sizes. You wouldn't even have to grab anything else. Just that alone would be a great random stamper. And then the TV one that I'm using is on page 67. And I've just been having a blast with this. So it makes such cute cards. And, it doesn't feel like there's tons of different ideas out there on how to use it, but really, you don't need tons of ideas on how to use it, because just making it a basic television is so cute just on its own. It's not like, you see cards like this everywhere. So that's really fun. Anyway, okay, so that's where you can find these in the catalog. So today, they have all those one sheet wonder kind of sheets that you can cut apart into making a bunch of cards. And I was kind of thinking about that as a random stamping kind of thing. And so I took my 8.5 by 11 cardstock and I chopped it in half. To me, it's a little overwhelming to have a whole sheet of random stamping. I'd rather just do a small one and have a few little things here and there. So, and it won't take quite as long, which is a nice thought. And so let's go ahead and get these put onto some blocks so that you're not waiting for me. Let's see. I'm getting out a few blocks. I think I may need my longer block for here. I'll just use this one. Okay. Got some blocks. Usually when I random stamp, I start with the biggest image, which I think is the hammer. And so I think I'm going to start with the hammer. You can tell I haven't used these very much because, wow, yeah, I'm going to have to use my larger block. I'll take the dad off and I'll do that one later and use this one. Okay, so for this one, what I'm gonna do is use all black ink, and I'm just going to kind of stamp it and then Let me grab a piece of scratch. I'm going to use a piece of scratch. I could just stamp it onto my glass, but I don't want to have to clean it. And this one, it's kind of important, since I'm going to cut it apart, it's kind of important to have the different pieces going different ways, because I'm going to, you know, cut it different ways. And it's random, so you don't need to like think too hard about it. Okay, so there's the main hammer. I'm just gonna rearrange this a little bit. Okay, and then the next biggest thing is this wrench. Do I want to use the wrench? I don't know if I want to use the wrench. I think I'll use the paintbrush. Now I'm thinking about it and I'm like, well, it's more of a tool kind of thing, so I'm gonna do this. It is nice to have a variety of things, because you definitely want things to show up when you cut this apart. You don't have to worry so much about the handle showing. You when you cut this apart into smaller pieces, what you're gonna notice, you don't want a whole sheet of handles to tools. You want the part that people will identify, and that would be like the actual end of the wrench, right? And the next biggest one is this little measuring tape. And I'm gonna put several of these on because that's gonna fill my gaps, but I want them a little bit recognizable. Like I wouldn't want to do just the corner of it necessarily, because it's not a recognizable thing when I cut my paper apart. This is when random stamping, like if you use flowers or something like that, it's easy because you can go off the edges, no big deal. Okay, what else do we have? So I think now we're ready to fill in with some of the smaller items, and I'm gonna change colors. So for the color scheme of my father's card, these are the colors that I'm choosing. I haven't used Harbor paper in so long. That Harbor color is one of my favorites. So I definitely want to use that as the base of my card. And I may want to put a little bit of it in my random stamp. Scarlet goes really well with it instead of a bright red. And you know, a lot of tools have red and yellow on them, and so I thought, okay, that'll be good. And then Toffee is the color of pegboard, and I took that pegboard die and I cut, and I did it 1, 2, 3, 4 times across the page, and just made a sheet that I could cut down when I make my cards. Isn't that cute? Wouldn't this be fun across an entire page of scrapbook? Something to think about. All right, I think I want to do the nuts and bolts next, just as a little fill-in, but they really should be like a silver or a gray. Let's see. I'll get pewter out. One place where close to my heart was lacking just a little is in the light grays. And so, I hate to say it, but I think I might, I don't know, that's a good color. I might break down and buy some Stampin' Up ink in the ink pads that I don't love. And I think a good gray. I need a good gray. So I got to think about it. There's close to my heart has had great grays over the years, but I have sold so many of them because, you know, after they were retired as a consultant, I couldn't demonstrate with them because you couldn't get them anymore. So I sold a lot of those, and now I'm like, I really think I could be using that. I think I could use that old Whisper Gray again. Okay. All right. So nuts and bolts, random. I like how that looks. I think now I'm going to pull out some of my other colors. I want to do the splush, you know, and the little dots. I don't know about the little dots now, but definitely the stars. But first I want to put some other color in to see, you know, if I can make these others look good. So one of the things I want to do, if I can, is line this up with, you know, the handles of the hammer, so I don't have to color in so much, right? And so I think I'm going to use toffee for the colors of the hammer, or the handles of the hammer, like that. Let me put that on my scratch paper and make sure it's stamping well. It feels a little... That one I must not have ever used. Seriously, I feel like my... now that the dies are so cool, I don't use the stamps quite as often. Or I haven't lately, because the dies are so much fun. So I'm just going around and filling in my random stamping, and I could make the handles different colors, but I kind of like how this is stamping actually, because it's not quite so solid, and it does make it look a little more like wood. All right, let me just put a little bit here. Did I miss any? That actually looks really nice. Okay, the other one that has a fill-in, there's the pencil has a fill-in, the paintbrush has a little paint splat for the end of the brush, the handle of the brush, and then this little measuring tape. And I think I may do that in scarlet. I know most measuring tapes are probably not actually scarlet, but if I do the little part in yellow, most of the measuring tapes we have in our house are yellow. Let's see, or lime green. I don't know why they're such a weird color, but all right. I feel like I have that backwards. I think this may go more with the die, but that's okay. I'm gonna keep it going. At least I don't have to color it, and it'll look fine. I could flip it over. I wonder what that would look like. Hold on a minute. Let me just clean this off a little bit. I'm curious if I do it backwards, if that'll look good or bad. It probably won't. I don't know. It might work. Let me try. And it's a little over big. Like I said, it works. It's fine. Okay. there is that one, and I used the front of it and the back of it. How's that? Now it's been used twice. I don't think there's anything else on here that to stamp a color with. So I think I'm ready to actually physically color now. Now, one of the things that I definitely want to use yellow, and I thought about this honey butter color, but then, so close to my heart, carried those tri-blend markers, and the tri-blend, I'll just move that and get a piece of scratch paper. The tri-blend markers in yellows, they had citrus blend, gold yellow blend, and light yellow blend, and I want something that looks like a nice gold yellow. I don't want it a sunshiny yellow, and I don't want it a gray yellow. So I'm going to start with light, and now I'm going to do citrus. I just want to show you the color differences. Oh, that citrus, that center citrus one isn't bad. Ooh, okay, so far my favorite is the third citrus blend. Now this is the gold yellow blend, and it gets gold really fast. I think I'm almost out of ink on that one. Yeah, that's too brown. I don't want that one. Now my upline sent me a little gift, and it was these markers. These are the light Daffodil Delight and the dark Daffodil Delight. And I thought, well, this is a great chance to see how these markers are. So this is the light, and it has a a brush and a bullet. I'm sorry, my voice is a little yelling too much at the fireworks last night. Okay, and then there's the dark, and the dark to me looks a lot like that gold. Look at that. You almost can't tell the difference between that. That's the gold and yellow blend. That's interesting, isn't it? I would say that's more of a Sundance yellow. Okay, so when you look at all the different yellows, I think as far as like the color of honey butter, I think the closest match is actually this light Daffodil Delight marker. There's also a nice match, the second color of the light yellow of the tri-blends. Those are both really nice. And this light color of the gold yellow is probably a pretty good match, but I need to refill it, so I can't use it today, or I'd have to open a new one. So let's just use the Stampin' Up marker. I'm just kind of curious at it. I haven't used them yet, right? All right, so I definitely want to do the measuring tape, right? I just don't want to miss any. It's easy to miss them. I think I'm also going to, boy, that's so light. Maybe I'll use the darker color then and do the little holder piece for the, boy. Yeah, I don't know. Not my favorite, but it's gonna work fine. Yeah. And then I need a little more red, the scarlet red. Let me get my cheaty. That scarlet red is dark color. I think it's the dark red 5, or pretty darn close to it. Those have a little number on them right there, DR5. And I want to finish filling that in. it was nice to have that shading stamp so that I didn't have to use so much of my marker color. And it does go fast. I kind of like how some of that white shows on there, so I'm gonna leave that. You see how it doesn't go drip to the line? I'm okay with that actually. All right, the tops of the hammers. I pulled the ice gray blends, which are the more silvery grays, and I think I think I'm going to use the light color here. Now you're probably wondering why I'm not coloring this in all perfect. And that's because I kind of want to use, you know, I really want to use Harbor on here. But I do not think I have a marker dark enough. Maybe ice gray, like the darkest shade, might be close to Harbor. I don't know. But I can definitely stamp it a little bit in the splooshes. I'm just going over this where it's shaded. I did a lot of hammers, didn't I? So, what'd everybody do for the holiday? Did you go to the fireworks last night or this week? There's a lot of rain yesterday morning here. It was crazy. And I'm going to go back to that 5 color for this. But it stopped raining just enough by afternoon to be able to do fireworks last night. Everything else pretty much got canceled. We had, so my family was shocked that I wanted to go to the fireworks because normally, even though I love them, I don't like the traffic. I don't like the chaos. There's thousands of people at the Champaign County fireworks. And so a lot of the little towns around here have them and they're great. Sorry, that's squeaky. Ooh, I might need to grab my other marker. Ice gray blend. Hold on a minute, let me see. Nope. I thought I had an extra ice gray 5, but I don't. I have an extra ice gray 6. I have a few of these tri-blend markers in like the darker colors and stuff. Anyway, yeah, so a lot of the small towns have fireworks and they're all through the week. So, you know, some of them had them last Friday, some of them had them over the weekend, some had them on the 3rd, and that way they don't compete with the big Champaign County ones. So if you want to go to both, you sure can. And I used to go to Muhammad's once in a while because they were so pretty, being shot up over the water and stuff. So pretty. And that was really nice. Okay, and then we have this wrench. I gotta decide what I'm gonna do with this wrench. I think I need it in grays still. Blah, that's kind of boring, isn't it? Should I do it in a different color? I don't want to break my trend here. What's this? Earth brown. I grabbed my earth brown in case I needed it. Maybe I'll do like a wood handle on them just to break it up a little bit. That would be weird. I know they're metal. You don't have to tell me. I've used plenty of these. I just want my card to look different. So anyway, so yeah, we went to the fireworks and it was really great. We got out of traffic in no time. We have a place that we park where it's easy to get to our house, you know, from where we are, which is, so it doesn't take us too long. Urbana is weird about lights. They like to use four-way stops, especially around the side streets and stuff. And dang, if it doesn't take forever for all that traffic to clear when everybody's stopping at these four-way stops. So much easier to have a light. So we take a lot of little back streets. Anyway, we got home pretty quick. And then we haven't really had many fireworks in the neighborhood this year, which is so weird because since COVID, oh my gosh, we have had fireworks. I mean, like insane fireworks. And this year it's been fairly quiet. My dog isn't afraid of fireworks. He hears them and wonders what they are. Like his ears perk up, like he hears somebody outside kind of. But he doesn't like freak out. My other dogs have always been afraid, but he's not. And Moose is like cool with it. As a matter of fact, the last few times we've shot fireworks off in our yard, Moose is right out there with us and he loves it. He just wants to be with people. He doesn't like to be trapped in the house when we're outside without him. So, okay. Oh, my coloring is done. And I gotta admit, it's just a little bit bland. It needs more of that yellow color. I think this circle in here could be yellow. I don't know. It just needs more, right? It needs more. So I'm going to, I might keep that white and do a few of the stars and things. Okay, I'm going to do a couple of these splishes. And I think that's going to be, I think I need a blue. Hold on. Yeah, I'll think about it. Where's my toffee? I'm just gonna kind of random stamp some color on here. And I'm turning it because I don't want to turn my stamp. Lazy. And I'm not worried about overlapping. I just need some of that color in the background. And you really want all of your background covered if you're going to cut your page apart, because you're going to have a lot of white space otherwise. Okay, there's that one. Let's do some stars. How about, let's get some yellow in there. And notice I'm putting them a little bit close together. So I love random stamp. This is such a fun technique. It's kind of a fun way to make a card when you're out of ideas or you don't have time to get all creative and make something super interactive, right? It's just a really neat look. You can make your own paper. Now, this paper pack, or this had a paper pack that went with it, and yes, I have it because when it came out, I fell in love with it, okay? I'm gonna do this other star also. and it's missing a little pizzazz, so we're gonna add it in red. So the paper pack is really awesome, and I'm really happy with it. But you guys can't get it. They don't sell it anymore. And so why not just make our own, right? So that's what I'm doing. Okay. Anywhere that looks like it needs some color. So when I cut it apart, I think that looks pretty cool. Now, another thing you can do if I wasn't using so much, if I wasn't going to use so much colored cardstock, you could use your blending brush and just blend color all over this and make it like, you know, a pattern paper. Now, the other thing I want to do really quick while I have my inks out and before I change gears, I want to do the Happy Birthday Dad. And so let me just make sure that's all. There's no oil all over it. So it'll be nice, and it's a nice solid stamp. Okay. These are those dies from Close to My Heart that layer. And I want to remember, this is the Happy Birthday from the Tune In set. Wow, that's really cool. You know what would look really neat is to add a few of those little nuts and bolts on here. Maybe I'll do this one in second generation. So you stamp once and then stamp again. Oh yeah, nice. Stamp once and stamp again. Okay, enough piddling around. All right, that looks great. And I'll have that on the front of the card. I could also, you know, stamp an extra image or cut one of these out to make it more dimensional. We'll see. We'll see what happens when I put this together. Okay. I'm moving all my inks. I'm moving my stuff out of the way so that I can trim. I feel like I have, you know, stuff everywhere right now. Okay. So one of the things I was thinking about doing is making, I'm going to make a couple of cards, and I want the card base to be Harbor. I'm going to raise this up a little bit so that you can see my trimmer a little better, right? And what I'm going to do here is I want to make one card that folds like normal and one card that folds up and down. So I'm feeling the paper to see which way it folds better. It has like a curve. It's really hard to see. But if you hold the paper by the side, it'll droop. And it droops better one way than the other. And the way it droops is I'm putting it in so it droops forward away from me. And I'm going to cut that at 5.5. And then I'm going to turn it and do 8.5. And that way I have a basic card base, right? Now, when you fold those, I usually score, especially on cardstock that is painted like this. But I want the front to have a diagonal. And so I'm gonna open it back up and I'm gonna cut it from corner to corner just on the front of the card. So I'm gonna put the top corner into my trimmer here and the bottom corner into my trimmer here, and it's right on the groove, right on the groove. I just wanna make sure that it cuts corner to corner. When you do this, sometimes it helps to put your cutter right in the middle of your card and go out and back, because that way you don't hitch up your corners. So there's my first card base. Now my other card I want to be going up and down, and so it's going to be 4 1/4, and we are going to make this by 11. So it would be like taking an 8.5 by 11 and cutting it in half, right? Long ways, right? And so when you fold this one, so it will be an opening like this. And I want to do the same thing on this one. I want this to have a diagonal. Now you can choose which way you want your diagonal to go. Doesn't matter to me. And then I'm going to put the corner, the top corner and the bottom corner in my trimmer. And now I have card base number 2. Ta-da! Now I want to make these panels, and I can make them either in my cool patterns I just made, or I can use the pegboard on the front and do this on the inside. Your choice, however you want it to look. I kind of like that on the inside. Okay, so on this one, I'm going to cut this piece at 4 inches. And I want it to be at 5 1/4. So I'm looking at the top and the bottom to see what I'd cut off. You know, would I cut off anything really cool if I cut off 5 1/4? Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and adhere this one. On the inside, knowing that it will show a little bit. Isn't that neat? Okay, well that's really cool. But now I need pegboard, and I want my pegboard to be split. And it is already 4 inches, so I just need to make this 5 1/4. Boy, that sounded weird. Okay, and then we want to cut the diagonal this way. So we're gonna put the top corner in the track and the bottom corner in the track, and you need to hold it down. And now we have the pegboard. Wow, that is looking so nice, isn't it? Now this one, liquid glue makes more sense to me. But here I am, because this is going to show through the little holes. It's going to be annoying, but here I go. Okay. Well, the good part is I can't feel it. I can't feel any of the glue through it. So that works. Okay, so there's card 1, and you know, I'm basically just going to put this on the front, and when I do that, I'm only going to put adhesive on the part that will stick to this blue here, and then it'll lift up like a whole panel like that. And then I can put a little something in here with a message for my father, which I love, right? This is great. And I also love the idea of cutting out like extra tools and putting them on the pegboard. But let's go ahead and right now, let's go ahead and finish this one. You know, I kind of like the idea of making this on the diagonal and then having some pegboard showing on the inside. And so, but I already have this one cut. Nope, I'm gonna do it the way I like it. Okay, so I'm gonna cut, the way to do this is to cut your card base at the size you want. So I want 4 by 5 1/4. And then cut your angle that you need. And I need this corner to this corner. And it's important that you check that and double check that, because boy, it stinks to cut that the wrong way. I've done that a few times before. No bueno. All right, so I'm gonna put that on there. I like how that looks. That is cool. Okay. Now, I kind of was messing around with the idea of making our own, you know, one sheet wonder kind of thing. Like, I'm just trying to decide what I want to do with this. Like, I could put this on the inside and the outside, and then my panel could be the pegboard. Oh, that's cute. Let's do that. And so I want to show you how I come up with like a one sheet wonder, because you can look them up everywhere. They have them everywhere. But it is kind of fun to make your own. All right, and then this will go on here, and then I could put this on if I want to. I could put this on the inside, and then put the tools on the outside. Oh, that's adorable. I think I will. Okay, let's talk about that one sheet wonder thing. So when I have this half sheet, I always get out like a pencil and a ruler and an eraser for when I screw up. And basically, since I have a glass mat here, I can just use my inch marks on here. The dark colors are the inch marks. And I almost always want to do some kind of card front that is like a 4-inch. 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm just going to, this would be like card number 1 and 2 maybe, or just card number 1. You might have to trim a 1/4 inch off of the edge, you know, to make that work. And then I almost always like to do the cards that have like a strip along the side. You know, you have your card base and maybe you just want like a couple of strips down the side, or you can put one across the bottom. So I almost always make like a 1.5 to 2 inch like strip. So let's do a 1 3/4 strip. So that would be for another card. And then you have this one, and you know, you could leave it just as is, and it could just be a wider size strip that goes like across a horizontal card. You know, That would look really nice. Or one that goes vertically on a card. Or the other option would be to split this up into like sections. So say we split it up every 1 3/4 inches. So there's 1 and 1 2 3/4, 1 and 1 2 3/4, and then you could just cut that into pieces and have another card. So a half sheet, here's a half sheet, and when you cut it apart, you know, you've got this piece, which is like 4 by 5 1/4. And then you have this piece, which is 5 1/2 inches long by 1 3/4. And then you have this piece, which is whatever's left. I don't know how long that was. 2 3/4 long by 1 3/4. And there's 3 of those. 1 2 3. And then you just, these little pieces right here, you can use them on the inside of your card. You know, sometimes I'll take a strip like this and decorate, you know, the inside of my card somehow, like maybe at the bottom or something, or just my messages here and that's just at the bottom. Sometimes I'll use these little strips for whatever. So this is like sort of my, you know, one sheet wonder, and it's really nice to have an idea of what you want to do. And this would make 1, maybe 2, 3, 4 cards right there. So if you have, you know, let's just say you have, you know, 4 birthday cards and you want to use the same pattern paper on all 4, I could have just as easily made this, cut this exactly like this, and used this to make 4 birthday cards instead, and they all would have looked great. And I just add, you know, cardstock to them. I think that's really cool. I love the idea of putting this on here. So that's really cool. That's gonna look really neat. I may use this one instead of this. I like them both. Okay. My leisure time is over. I have my very last therapy session today. Yay! Physical therapy is done. I am happy to announce that. Oh, before I go, I just want to talk about Tuesday. So we're going to do something kind of similar to this, in that you're going to have your own pattern paper, and I'm going to, my plan, we'll see how it goes, but I'm basically going to have 3, maybe 4 different card styles. We are going to cut bases all at once, just so that's over. And then we will take our pattern papers and we will cut them down to fit these card bases. Now, they may all be, you know, you might make 3 or 4 of this style card, 3 or 4 of this style card, 3 or 4 of this one. And you don't have to decorate yet. We're just going to put the pattern paper on just like this, and we're going to leave it kind of naked for now. And then we'll go back and we'll cut up those, you know, those little like picture my life pocket scrapbooking style cards. They work perfectly on here, 3 by 4, or any embellishments you have, you can cut them down and you can make sentiments or images, whatever you do. So that is what that event is Tuesday night. And it's because I am just hanging out here by myself, and I'm gonna scrapbook, or I'm gonna make cards anyway. And I thought, well, we might as well do it as a group. And I'm just adding a little extra glue to the edges on this so it doesn't get messed up. Anyway, so that's my plan. I hope you can join me. My daughter is going to help me. I'm going to try to sign on to Zoom, because what I want is for you to see this desktop and I want to see your faces. So I need to be able to use my computer and my phone at the same time. And I've never done that on Zoom before. And I'm sure some of you are like, I've done that a million times, or people do it all the time. I know. But I personally have never done it. So we're going to play a little bit. I just have to wait for her to be awake. Since she works night shift, it's a challenge. And I've got plans tonight for the Stamplistic card making event. They have their mid-year cheer tonight, and so I can't do it tonight, but I will. I'll get around to it, and so I'll let you know if I switch to Zoom. I'll send you the link and we'll do it there. Okay, that's my announcements. I hope you all love this. Next Wednesday, I'm going to do our club, project. I call it a club project, but really anybody who orders from me this month in July is going to get a really cool scrapbook kit. And it took a lot of time to put together, so I think you'll love it, because you won't have to actually cut all the parts and pieces out, and you'll just be able to assemble, which is really fun. So I hope you can do that. All right. Have a great day, everybody.